Next, we have Aquaculture Boot Camp. There he is. Matthew Smith, Ohio State.
All right, good afternoon. I am with, I'm not going to say it, I'm with Ohio State. No, we'll be all right. Shh, Larry. Sitting back there trying to rack my brain how to outcompete the cat video, and it's not going to work. I didn't really make the presentation, so don't shoot me. It's a little long-winded, but we'll do our best. This is a project that's been around for a while, and we are ramping up in 2017 for round 2, ABC2. But we'll dive on in. Get my pointer. Oh, stopped working. So being an extension, relatively little time, especially being in Ohio State, there is the interest in aquaponics, the biofloc, the everything under the sun, and a lot of these are your most rudimentary questions, things that a lot of people have really understood very, very well if you're a fish farmer a lot longer than I've even been alive. But a lot of the stuff we hear, of course, every day is, do I need a business plan? What's the right type of species for me? Do I need to be outside? Do I need to be indoors? What am I looking at? And then, of course, is this for me? This is whether or not I even need to get into this venture. So that's what we're interested in doing, is to help solve these questions. So ABC, it is a USDA NIFA project. So it's the program is free for all of those who are involved. They use a 3I approach, and I say they because I think 2013 was the first year that Aquaculture Bootcamp was funded, which was involving my predecessor, Dr. Laura Tu, beforehand. She wrote the first one with Dr. Han-Ping Wang being the lead PI on the role. So I'm kind of transitioning in as well over the last year and utilizing ABC2. So ABC1 was all pre-me. So if I say they a few times, that's thinking about ABC1, not necessarily the second. But it's pretty straightforward in what we've seen. Utilizing a three-tier approach, intensive, intermediate, and introductory. And you can kind of see the different things we're looking at accomplishing. You can read them there, but in the short run is that we're generally taking things that normally might take a new and beginner farmer 5 years to figure out, whether this is how to use a water quality kit or what to look for diseases, where to purchase their fish, proper engineering design, whatever it may be. Taking that 5 years and doing your best to condense that down to a year or two to help these businesses hopefully be a little bit more economically viable. Using that multifaceted approach, so classroom activities, hands-on production training, industry mentoring, which really has helped us out tremendously, and I'll talk more about the Ohio Aquaculture Association in a minute. Business and financial management, and then also those who are involved with this are certainly a part of a bunch of different conferences, tours, and workshops, and then we're always here for help on the other instances too. Most of these, not all of the workshops, but a great deal of them have occurred down at the OSU South Centers where I'm located, down in southern Ohio. We utilize our aquaculture extension and research folks down there, our horticulture extension and research folks. We also have small business development specialists that are located right there next door to me. So if I don't know the business or the management or the marketing specialist sides of things, I can go to them. And then if they get an aquaculture question and they don't really know the biology side, we're right next door. So we can help hopefully give it a 1-2 punch to help them be at least increase their likelihood of success. I mentioned the 3 I's. That's intensive, so it's an in-depth level involving immersion. We say a year-long process. For a lot of you who are around or have seen at least what ABC1 did, the intensive brings folks different amounts depending on the year, but brings a great number of new and beginner farmers down to the OSU South Centers one Saturday a month for the entire year. So they got to come down for 12 years, that's a long time, 12 for the 12 months, and they get that hands-on training. The intermediate is they don't get to come to all 12, but anytime we do the conferences, workshops, tours, all those sorts of things, we have a second level and certainly reach a broader audience because our resources are limited. Even though it is a funded project, there's only so much you can do. You can only really corral so many people up in once and teach them water quality all at the same time. And then introductory, where a lot of that is information sharing is the goal, where you utilize things like websites and YouTube and things of that nature. Not going to go through every one of these because we are focusing a little bit more on ABC2, but you can see some of the successes and what we've done over 2013 and 2014, which is ABC1. And you can kind of see all the way down what we've done and then how many people actually graduated. So I'm not sure the exact number. You might have to come to 9 or 10 out of the 12 in order to be considered passed and get your certificate at the end of the year. ABC1 project accomplishments. We had the Ohio Aquaculture Association and ABC annual conference. We did a marketing workshop down in Piketon, which is where the OSU South Centers is located. We also did an aquaponics workshop down there as well. And then this is the first time I've really mentioned this, is we had 14 interns worked at several fish farms. So they might not necessarily have been a part of ABC1, but they would have, and the grant helps fund 50% of the salary for that intern to go and actually work on that farm, which certainly turned out to be a great thing, and we're redoing this for ABC2 as well. Just help them really see what our successful industry folks already, what they're doing, and helping getting some of these new and beginners out as well on these farms, so that they're not just looking at the research station as well. As far as impacts and evaluations, we're still using, just like with ABC1, a program called WooFoo to help look at our evaluations. We're doing 6-month and 12-month evaluations. Just, that's part of it. You got to record the data so you can show what we have accomplished, what they have accomplished, and what they've learned pre and post workshops or presentations and all. And then there's also a final presentation that each student will have at the end of the year. A little bit small on here because someone thought it was a great idea to add all the pretty pictures around it, so it shrinks everything else. But you can kind of see what everyone's doing. This is 2013, 2014. You see we do have 40% who are, at least as last count, are not doing anything in aquaculture or aquaponics, and then 26% here. Of course, the rest are actually doing some form of aquaculture and aquaponics, and that's all right. We don't want everybody diving in because we're here to offer the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if they decide that's not a venture that they want to step forward in, that's fine. They just saved us money. And also, I want very successful businesses that'll go around and do the right thing and follow it as they should be. And we don't want anyone to go into this haphazardly. But we do have a great deal of success as far as those who are actually stepping forward, not only in raising fish themselves, but also educating others as well. We still have the same 3 levels, but we did kind of add a third area. ABC1 didn't really involve aquaponics, and from what I told, we also had a different Ohio Aquaculture Association president at the time. I believe January, the first year it was done, everyone asked, go around the room, what are you interested in? Almost all the hands that raised were interested in aquaponics. All of this was geared up and written for aquaculture. So that's really why ABC2 got funded, because we shift gears a little bit and really incorporated aquaponics heavily into the system, because we really weren't set up that way in the first place, and we realized quite quickly that aquaponics was the booming interest. So certainly added aquaponics into the mix. Same thing, you've got the hands-on types. We did add other partners as well. I believe last time it was just the Ohio Aquaculture Association that we partnered up with, which has been a great thing, but we also had the Piketon Vocational School. So that's the Piketon CTC, the Career Tech Center. There was actually funding written into the project so that they're right across the street from us. We wrote in some funding so that they can have their own system and educate their own career tech students as well. And then the guy who heads it all up is actually one of our 35 students that we're bringing down each month to educate him as well. So that helps us facilitate kind of that diffusion of information. If he's got a great knowledge and has been through the project or through the program as well, he can also report back to his students. And then also added the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. I'll get to it in a minute, but 2017, this is the first year of ABC2. 2018 will also be at Ohio State University, and then with a total different amount of students, totally different students. And then year 3 will actually be at UW-Stevens Point. So with Aquaculture Bootcamp 2, we had 70 applicants. By November 2016, I think we really only started soliciting applications for maybe a month and a half or so before we stopped it. But we did end up selecting 35. You can kind of see some of the breakdown. It only says 9 are interested in just in aquaponics, but it's certainly a great deal of them are only interested in aquaponics. But actually a lot more interested in biofloc than what I thought. We did add educators to the mix as well, kind of a mix. One guy works with prisons who have aquaculture systems set up, things of that nature. So that's certainly been a help to us as well. Although we were originally accepting 30, those 5 who were educators that applied, we just thought it'd be great to really help us get our numbers up so that we can reach as many people as possible. And of course, just word of mouth or referrals, emails, Farm Science Review that runs, I think runs about 80,000 people or so through there over a 3-day period. Head just outside of Columbus, Ohio. We had a system set up there and make sure, pass out flyers, let them know that this is what we're going to do. We also set something up at Ohio State Fair every year. Last year was the first year because it was the first year I'd been there. But also, soliciting, trying to get people to who are really interested to come out and at least apply. Conferences, kind of the same stuff we've gone about. We've had the conference. These are some of the workshops we've already had this year or are coming up. And then through our partnership with OAA, these are a few of the people we're bringing in to help with the speakers, because even though we have the OAA, so we've got a lot of great industry mentors who are, a few of them are previous extension personnel themselves, and also all of the expertise down the South Centers. It also never hurts to bring in a lot of good speakers as well. Really kind of breaks it up, especially over that whole year listening to the same 5-6 people talk. Get a little old. Make sure you bring it in and bring in some new folks to help spice things up. So we'll bring in Charlie a couple times. Dr. Carol Engel and Jonathan and Dr. Vincent will be here in July for that aquaculture economics and aquaponics workshop. And Dr. Chris Weeks and Chris Hartley will come in August as well. So I pretty much already mentioned this, so I guess there's no point in running through the same thing. The only thing I will mention is I'm not sure if I mentioned yet, but we will do a bus tour every year. So we will just load up 70 people or so and kind of drive them around the state to different farms as well, so they can see kind of, if they don't get out and actually get to intern at a farm, maybe we can at least get them on the bus and drive them out there so they can see what our farmers are actually doing. They got all types of tabs here, but this is the same things for the intermediates. This is how many workshops or conferences they're going to be a part of. Here's the business and marketing strategies. The same thing. They're allowed to go on the bus tour. That's why we take 70 or 80, however many we can jam on there. And then the mentors are part of that. The industry mentors are part of that through farm visits, phone, email, things of that nature. Almost done, but we do have an Aquaculture Bootcamp 2 website that's located on our OSU South Center's homepage. So we always, at least with ABC2, we're doing YouTubes of all the presentations just like this, focused on the content, but they are voiceover PowerPoints. Each month is broken down, so you can certainly watch all of those. And then if you want just the PDFs, all of those are housed on the website as well. Not going to read all of these because that's going to take quite a while, but you can see the expected outcomes there and certainly talk to you about it if you want. Certainly recognition through all the people who helped out, as well as USDA NIFA and the Soy Aquaculture Alliance. And with that, I might have just a minute and I'll answer any questions for you. Thank you.
Questions for Matthew? Yes, sir.
So that would be, you mind if I go back real quick?
All right.
Sure. So it was how many are actually have started their own business. The only, like I said, I wasn't here for ABC1, but this is all I have as far as percentage wise. And you can look, I think there were 20 that graduated, or 23 that graduated with 2013. So you can just break the percentages down and who actually started and graduated and went forth that way. But most of the raw data is with Dr. Wang. Yes, ma'am.